Alright everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be starting a 1.1 playthrough. It is a few days before the experimental drops, on this coming Tuesday, so it will technically be a 1.0 world until that point, but we will be aiming to include a lot of the 1.1 features in when it drops. Until then, we're going to be setting up with a couple of fundamental premises. The first premise is that we're going to build the factories. They're going to be built beginning and used until the end. It'll be nice and simple for any kind of semi-follow-along series where you want to do kind of what I'm doing, because the other fundamental premise is going to be skipping power. Massive hurdle for a lot of people. It is fundamentally important to the game in the sense that your first power, usually, that you don't ever have to touch, where you can literally just leave your game AFK for the whole day and it's still all function, is coal. I have opted for geothermal power because the last time I played before 1.0 was like update 5 or 6. I did coal and I got around that point, set up a thing, and I didn't really continue. I did not like it. And then in 1.0 they changed how geothermal power is accessed. It's much earlier in the tech tree. The only real requirements to get it set up, I believe, is about 50 plastic and 100 either circuit boards or high-speed connectors. I forget which, but you make high-speed connectors with circuit boards, so it's kind of irrelevant. Essentially, once you get at least 150 circuit boards, you're good to go. So in the very worst case scenario, if you absolutely hate exploring, you can just dump 3 tickets in the circuit boards, get 200 of them, and you can get up to 4 geothermal plants, which is as much as almost any standard full power array that most people are going to build. It takes a minuscule fraction of your time compared to working on coal and getting it set up, and it gives you more of that time that you use to set up coal power to actually explore and get the stuff for free. I know I've never spent tickets before, but it is an option if you absolutely hate exploring. So with those fundamental premises, we're also going to start with another one, of which Grassy Field is often touted as the worst starting location because of assorted reasons that I don't quite disagree with, but most people play with coal power as something that's important to them. I don't. So it changes the equation a lot. So in the Grassy Field start, you have everything close by. You start next to, you have a pure coal right in the middle of your factory, so steel will be easy since we're not going to be using it for power. There's actually 2 pure nodes right nearby, so basically the starter steel factory, and then once we are pushing through phase 2 into phase 3, we'll need more steel, which we'll use the other one for. Super easy. The other one is Caterium's kind of far away, so we're going to do a long bus for it to bring it home. Closer one is under some rocks, so it'll be a while. But the longer one, it's not a big deal. It'll cost a handful of things, which I have a bunch of, so it won't really matter. The only one that's sort of out of the way that's kind of useful that people like in the northern starts is quartz. However, quartz is in between you and oil anyway, and your geothermal power source that you're going to go to as well. So it's really not that big of an issue. So we're going to go with Grassland Super Start. I'm going to skip onboarding because I've done this start probably a dozen times. 3 of the times I took to 20 hours, 40 hours, and 80 hours. The rest were about hours to test things. So I have a lot of experience with exactly how this goes because I don't tend to like to make claims that I can't back up. So if I have something I think, oh, this is interesting, I'm going to check it before I start running around the internet making myself look like an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. We're going to get going. So the first goal, and I'm going to put these all out on the notepad, so it's fairly easy to track what we're going to do. And we're going to be doing this setup with public notes, private notes. All right, so we're going to have our tasks. We're going to number these tasks, and each fractional task is going to be gathering and exploration, and each full task is going to be building something. Task 0.5, we are going to... A lot of this stuff. Hold, yeah, just Essentially, what we're going to do is we are going to... That's right. Gather 2 blue slugs. You need those for your early setup. Next one will be gather assorted resources. Namely, I didn't save it. Wrong button. We'll gather 2 blue slugs to gather assorted resources. Space. Biomass. 2, 3. Metals. 1, 2, 3, 4. Etc. It's whatever is around is fine. Close this. Hopefully that's all set up. Cool. So the main thing is you need the blue slugs and everything else. Want as much biomass, so you're these kind of things.
Potential edible collected. If consumed before authorized is compatible with the human digestive system by FIXIT, the consumer is responsible for any and all consequences. Store this potential
you hold your pickup button.
Later use.
Actually holding F, which is pickup for me. I think most people's E. So just, I'm sure most people know this by now, but you never know. A lot of new people with 1.1 probably. There's no slug here. Back here. We're gonna have to go down. Basically, we're going to build our base over there. Exactly by that rock. You know where the slugs are, you can just grab them on your way. But don't. You can find them. There's actually one over there, but you need foundations to access it early on because you can't have one of the rock or something. Not over there. You.
Potential edible collected. Eating it and surviving does not count as a valid field test and does not generate enough data for FIXIT to make an informed decision.
Oh yeah, that's that area, because there's a slug up here.
Store this potential resource for later use.
Then we're going to have to jump down. If you are... Probably, harvest. Weapon. You will need a bunch of biomass early on. That's the first actual factory we're going to build, is a biomass factory. One reason 1.0 change made it so that it's pretty good. Go straight to geothermal, because you already get a decent power grid setup that takes very little annual effort to get going, while your factory slowly builds your parts so you can build main actual factory build. I was thinking about started by it. I thought he was a big one. He's actually a normal size one.
Samples of new alien species acquired.
So small.
Notable features are blunt teeth, suggesting it is herbivorous, and a thickly plated skull and spine, suggesting it is proficient at inflicting and receiving blunt force trauma. Preserve the remains for later study.
We're down here. Usually the resource nodes are guarded.
This semi-slug species seems to persist entirely through absorbing and storing energy from its surroundings.
Get them when they charge you.
Provide new methods for improving FIXIT production line efficiency. Store this potential resource for later use.
That nerd. Grab this iron since we're here. It'll help early on. Limestone up here. This is a good place to start. A lot of people start here. I've done it before. First, long-term saves. I like the cliff start more because you start right next to the coal, and it's easier to get the Caterium over to it. And it's got all... I can actually generally build the resources that you start with and use directly inside the factory. Like... the main one you want early, if you focus on it. It's not a limestone. That's an actual node. Limestone, because limestone is actually the weakest part, technically, of where I start. Got one impure node close by, which doesn't even fill up a single concrete structure, but there are a couple more nodes nearby where I add. I tend to like to avoid alternate recipes when I do stuff like this as well, so that RNG doesn't pull people away from kind of what's going on. Okay, yeah, we'll have to grab up there. Farthest I've started from. Definitely. I'm going to start much closer. Here's it. Well, biomass you grab on your way, less you'll have to grab later. And how much exploration you like to do and how good you are at combat. You might need a food. Christian hypos later. Generally pretty good. I really like the combat in this game, oddly enough. Thought he would run. So the zapper like zaps like 2 or 3 times in a row.
Samples of unknown alien species acquired. Their
Little,
weaponized plasma
you can
is
use it
most
like little
likely
burst
stored
damage,
as a stable chemical substance in
pop
an
somebody a
organ
couple
close
times
to
and
their
then
mouth, and only turns volatile when exposed to one of the chemical elements in the air. Preserve the remains for later study.
Huggy. Go get him in a little bit. Yeah. So, a couple of nodes up here. I think there's two impure and 2 normal iron nodes. They're designed a whole factory around. Steel upgrade will require Mark IIs. Get there. Here. I only got 1 slug. Look at the other one real quick before I forget. That'll let us switch over to past 1 point. One up there, but you can't jump up on this rock. Time to get blade runners. Another one. Here. Proximity. There's also one up. There's some point. Get up to. Right over there. There. Traveling's not too bad early on, especially because you can always lead stuff anyhow. There's... I don't think there is one up. Also, extra copper over here I never really used so far in my builds for early game. You want to build differently or use alt recipes and you need more copper. Food. Oh, food. Oop. Sometimes they keep running in a circle, sometimes they pause and then merge. A lot of practice. I'm surprised I was doing so well against those. Timing's a little obnoxious with the Dapper. Its short range is pretty short. Alright, so we got our 2 slugs, we got a bunch of starting materials, biomass for power. Trying to get our hub established and get our automation going. Pull the hub over here, so clear all this stuff so it's not quite in the way. So, put it over here. Oh, over here is where I do it. See why I do it a little farther away from where you kind of intend to do most of your work. Here, I gotta get those. Put a node there, a limestone there. There's a copper back over there. First thing, let's set up power. I usually like the power on the left here. Come in here. Okay, so we got some milestones. Whatever. Alright. So, first thing we're going to do, got our stuff there. So in theory, if you have a more involved list, going here, just there, was your thing. It's like, oh look, I did it. Keep it up there and get all that stuff done. You're not opening. Okay. I don't use this too often. Alright. Task number 1. Get rid of all this, and we're gonna go. 1, let's see. Primary goal going to be establish basic part automation. So what that's going to look like is plates. Plates, rods, screws, which we're going to get rid of as soon as we can. The next thing we're going to want to do while we're doing this is we're going to complete milestone number 2. Sticks. This one will do. Then we're going to do wire. We're going to get cable going. Then we're going to improve power. I didn't write that notes, but we need to improve our power in order to go past wire and cable. I don't even think we can get those without improved power. Then we're going to want concrete. And then after all those, we are going to complete milestone well, 2-2. This is 1-2. Obstacle clearing, actually. Obstacle clearing. Give us solid biofuel for our power, plus chainsaw for our first exploration excursion out after going. What you can do here is we can bank these guys for now. Cursor, if you got it, and all your animal parts. Control does all stacks of everything. Single one. Work button here. Power. I'm going to put this in here for now to clear up some space. So, first thing we're going to want to do is logistics. So we'll select that milestone, and we need those guys. So, power. One early thing we're going to need is a workshop. Should have the parts for from your drop pod. Want a couple extra portable miners. Base once and you'll auto build. Or about 4. Need these for extracting buildings. Well, 8 should be enough. About 4. Alright, so we're going to clear some of that. That doesn't matter too much. So to do a couple of these, let's do 3 of these here. So a couple iron here. And we're going to go check our copper out. This will give us some reels to go off of, parts we need to build buildings we need. So, our copper. I only have 3 of these left. Oops. 3. Oh, I do have. Come on. And if they run in a circle, follow them, smack them again, depending on if they stop their spin or keep doing their spin. Those run for a minute. So this pass, we're going to take this path a couple times, because we're going to have to hand feed copper for a bit. Power constraints. Our limestone supply is going to be very bad early on. We don't need a lot of limestone early. Just enough, because we're going to do... We'll probably use a chainsaw to get a decent chunk. Get it? Because I like to go get early blade runners, which requires silica, which you can get silica, limestone, mycelia all at once. Got those. We have some iron, so we don't really need there. So we're gonna need a bunch of these. So iron. I have a lot of copper there. Yeah. Our plates at. So we have a decent chunk of plates, some rods. We have enough of these for a couple of constructors. I guess I'm actually thinking, and I like to use the bench for that. Hammer on the bench and get something done while you plan your next move. You're not wasting downtime, since you do have to do a lot of handcrafting early on. We can make biomass. We will want to do biomass and not feed leaves into our power. So I'll probably grab those leaves out and we'll feed all those in. Need a decent chunk of wires and cable. Cable especially, because power grid requires it. Concrete's not so important yet. That'll obviously be. That's that and that. Alright, so the other thing we're going to be doing is just leave those 3 on the limestone. Pick up that 1 off the iron. But we're going to start doing pull up bits. So before you get foundations, you have to land this stuff on the ground. So a couple of these around here. Then production constructor. These are going to be our screws. These are going to be our rods. I don't remember if I need to split this off. No, I usually I power down now. Do that. Then we can feed this with a smelter. Need 2, so I need room for a yes. What's that? Smelter. Full control. You'll get the it'll line up with the other building output. So we'll go ahead and that's going to go there. And we're going to power these guys. Let's do it. Powerful. Here. Over power there. Onto our power reactors on our hub here. Which, like I said, we actually. Here. Biomass leaves. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is, like I said, setting up these basic automations. One of our impure irons will feed, each one will feed a smelter. One smelter will feed 2 rods. One rod will be dialed down a little bit. Fed in screw factory. They'll give us screws because we need them early, but later on we can avoid screws altogether. Other iron will be purely built into plates. And then once we get those going, we can set up copper. But I usually feed it from a storage container. Probably get enough power for extractors. Your starting hub power is only 40 megawatts. Need about 60, I think, for all the basic stuff, so we'll need one freestanding biomass generator. Once we get all the automation going, then we will be able to go out on an exploration trip, gather stuff while we get the basic materials made up, make our main power plant, which will allow us to start working with the main factory, power everything effectively. So we got solid fuel, these got to use plain biomass, take a stack of heat. And it's always nice to have more biomass generators because they all scale down to the amount of power you actually need. So they're more efficient. You don't have to fuel them as often if you prefer total. Finish getting these guys set up. I'm gonna grab this iron out of here. Start this work. Get a little bit of stuff going before we need to build our extractors, which actually cost more power. You powered? We have nothing going. You're not set, so you're going to be rods. Screws. Actually, I could have moved that back. I always forget exactly what it is. All right. We can't split these yet, so this is going to be our source of rods. That'll be our source of screws. Are going to have another rod factory. Then we're going to have a plate factory there. Then this one, you'll see that line, so it lines up with the actual smelter behind me. This can go in. Iron here and load that up in the stack. Grab. The power line. You go here. You'll power this one. Power this one. Continue on this way, probably. I'm out of rods already. Not connected yet. I might need the rods more than screws at the moment. Let it build up. And we'll put this side. Power that. This direction. You'll make iron plates. And you will be our output. Store rods. We need more rods still. And again, this will keep you organized using your control button. You'll use it for the world grid later as well. This will let you keep everything lined up so your belts aren't like weirdly shaped and stuff. Eventually this will go in here, but we'll need our logistics first. That's why we are researching it first. Here, and you're doing plates. And our next one after plates is going to fire butts. Probably do some handcrafting. So the purity of the node you're working on is based, affects the hand drill miners. If you really want a lot of materials, if you're some kind of special setup, you say you get a lot of smelters and you just want to feed them, you can build more of them. They only hold 100 no matter what. So on a pure node they'll fill up faster, on a pure node they'll fill up slower. Normal, but if you have 10 of them down, you'll get 1,000 every time you go back, depending on how long it is. But depending on how you're using a node hand mining, if it's really close, you might have a couple. We're going to have, you'll see why I actually leave some on the limestone and you push them away from the middle, because we're still going to build an extractor on here and we're still going to use these. Power grid, what are we sitting at? We're sitting at max consumption of 24, so we can still build a couple of things. Now, these guys are going to start, keep these filled up ourselves. Super well. We're going to need some wire and copper. I'm gonna get some busy work done. We'll probably do a little time lapse thing and come back when we're ready to record things. Alright, so we're getting most of our parts going. I'll need a handful of screws. Take those out now. Should have enough. Send our little guy up. Double click that, double click that, double click that. Button here. Even if you plan on doing more stuff, you want to send this up. You do have a timer.
Milestone reached.
Corner.
Conveyor
Before it
belts
comes
can
down
now
to do another one.
merge, split, and lift to save space and enhance the
our
productivity
lifter,
of your
put that on.
factory. Fix-It encourages you to consider investing in verticality when it
Put that
comes
on
to
for.
factory
I'm going to use
logistics.
that other thing.
If you feel stressed by this complexity, imagine yourself on the shore of a vast and calm ocean. Breathe in,
Now, since we
visualize all the
have
people relying
things
on
going
you.
and we're
The sea
wasting
is made
power,
of billions of faces, each staring at you with hope and tears in their eyes.
we're going to
Breathe
split this
out,
guy out.
feel refreshed and focused on your duties.
We're going to split her this. Then I actually use lifts early and often in order to things. This one. Right. Work. That. Default versus lifts. Actually, I tend to fix this one. So basically, I want to make my base fairly easy to run around in. And belts and everything are cheap early on, so there's no reason not to make your life better. And then I like to get my inventory clean, put that back in there. Same thing here. This is actually why you might have noticed that I faced this away a slightly weird way. That you think, why is that farther away than it needs to be? I was going to do that, so I can walk through here, because I've blocked myself off. No one can walk through when you want to. And that pushes our power grid almost to max. We can technically get wire going. We don't have the reinforced plates, so we'll have to make some more. Yeah, you have enough reinforced plates for this, actually. Let's get these all split up and done right. So, same thing here. I'm going to go ahead. And the straight belts, you're gonna have to go, and then we're getting curved belts soon as well, so have to get going. I set this also to make rods. Now we could have made some room here and split these off, but I usually drop power to save power on this guy. 75%, 10 per minute. This is why people hate screws. This uses 10 per minute. Our rod factory makes 15. But we put that down to 75% power. 75% power, I believe. And you can drop his power down to like 80. That. You'll have exactly what you need, and you'll save a couple of megawatts. What you can do with this shit, we need a block. Save that in. And we can see how much power has been here. Barely 50 per cup. You kind of want to visit these every once in a while to keep them going. Like I said, they cap at 100. Even they're at 100, they won't mine anymore. Cool. Oh. Copper's a big one. We get some more parts built up and saved up. We can get wire going and then cable going. We can actually do that. Alright, so we have plates automated, we have rods automated, we have screws automated, we have logistics. So I should have put that up top of this, huh? X. Ask one. That looks better. Alright, so the next thing we will be doing, we got logistics already, but we'll want obstacle clearing, which is actually over here. The reason for this is more inventory slots and solid biofuel, which is much more efficient on power, plus the chainsaw. Let us get rid of these. That tree. That tree's annoying. These trees, because I usually put my MAM right back here. And before we get MAM. What we need is more reinforced plates, so we'll build a couple of these with the screws we grabbed, so we can get wires and cables. Screws. Sorry. So we can probably do this now, so we'll do our wire alone. Then oh yeah, we need to switch it right here. Let's take all. Actually, let's see how much we got. Let's take all. Probably get rid of these two. Cross. This. Get it sort of lined up. Snap it up once. Alright, so this will be wire. So we're gonna need another smelter. Smelters. Over here. So smelter here. Power it up. We're gonna have to put this guy up. But we're going to need a splitter. And they snap right on there like that. You can do that if you think it looks cool, or if you don't like it, you can do it a different way. We'll do this here. Splits. I think R is the default to switch your build modes. Has no power. This power holding. One. Then we're gonna have a bit of a thing here. So this will be cable. That'll be there like that. So we'll probably do here. This one up. there. That's going to be our cable. Let's fed from somewhere else. So wire. The smelter is going to take copper ingots. And we're about to bust our power grid. As soon as one of these goes to max, we're going to our power grid. Why we have to get a freestander up. There it goes. So you go to power, you go to biomass burner. There. Stack of power. These are a little less efficient, if I remember right. They hold more and they generate more, but they're also a little bit, they burn fuel a little bit faster. Okay. So then we have a whole bunch of room now, so we don't have to worry about popping our crap, crap, crap. We are making wire, which is great. So we're going to need. Let me put this back a little. Today, we're going in case I want another smelter, which I don't think I will. Splitter in there. So now we can put all of our copper in here, and it'll feed this guy, and that's why we lit around with copper mine, because we're going to run these over. Then when we actually get the extractor up, we can just dump it into that chest. Automated, but that'll give us automated copper for a amount of time at least. We're going to do the same thing kind of with limestone coming up here. Probably going to have to hand make our 100 creep. I don't have any more plates, so let's go. Couple. Cable going, because we also need a cable. Build modes don't like, it's not like perfect, so. Make sure there's room to walk between machines, it makes your life much better. So you're gonna go this way, you're gonna feed out the other half of your stuff over there, then you're going to go here, and you usually go 1, 2 up here. And either I raise it's much easier. These do cost a little bit more. One. Put enough plates on us to do this. Up. Okay. There's enough plates, and basically this will be fully automated. That clip. Oh, it's flooded. Sit on it a tiny bit. But yeah, this is cable. This is wire to feed the cable because cable takes wire, but this will only feed half of it, not 30. So we'll have to power these down a little bit. So it needs actually. So all the way through this one. Now we have all of these. Oh. We're not going to do concrete just yet. So we're going to go ahead and make our own. We need a few more reinforced plates. Anyway, so we might as well just make our own concrete. Alright, there we go. We have enough to finish this one. Bam, bam, bam. Turn it up. Obstacle clearing.
Milestone reached. Solid biofuel, created from any biomass, ensures maximum efficiency of biomass burners. To aid in biofuel production, the chainsaw allows for the removal of tougher wood and coral foliage.
Finished task 1.
Additionally, your pocket dimension has been inflated to increase inventory
I haven't automated
size.
concrete yet.
Inspirational note: will you be the Fix-It Employee of the Month? You could be if you construct, automate, explore, and exploit by eliminating all obstacles to efficiency.
Yeah.
This isn't just fun, it's contractually mandated fun, fun, fun.
Alright, so the next one will be... Okay. Snap order. Okay, so this will be our concrete output. And I built this different every single time, so we're gonna have to figure out what's in there. Do this. I think we have just enough power. We have more than enough power. I can also automate the copper. 2 coal. We need a power pole over here somewhere. Production, we're gonna need a miner. Oh, I guess I didn't build those things far enough back. You build these pretty far back. So you're gonna go... See why I'm doing this in a minute. 2, grab. Power you up. And then we... Okay. Let's see, I think we'll do this. So basically, you're going to store your excess limestone up here. Mine are limestone. Put me in there. Sure. Then we're going to have an assembler over here. Super. All this fits in here right now. We're going to be power, taking a copper and concrete. And going to get fed, actually. To change this up. To make my life easier if I do this, 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 2. I like straight belts, split eclipse, so let's do that right up here, and then go up, go in, merger. Alright, that didn't work. Merger? No, I won't like that. So, reason for this is that these take 45 per minute. This only finds 30 on an Imperial node. Need to make up the difference with stuff that you gather from here. Kind of the most optimal amount of concrete until we expand our power grid to a section. So, that'll complete our concrete. There it comes. Okay. Got cables. Wires. Plates. Rods. Power. Down a little bit. East. Eastern. East. Oh, yeah, right about that. He's back. There. And that'll run a long time, making us concrete automatically. So now, like I was saying at the beginning... Oh wait, no. See, that's actually... Their little montage we'll have to do here. Because... we want solid biofuel now. So I'm going to make all my biomass into solid biofuel, and we'll talk then. Alright, there we go. Now, you don't really have to do that. You can automate this, but that's kind of the next main automation step. Biomass, put it solid biomass. Rest of this, while that's going, we can update this. We'll get this set up for the next video. Task 1.5. We are going to do Exemplar. First thing we're going to do, which will actually be base related, we are going to complete milestone 1-3, which is field research. What, man? Next thing we're going to do, search out crash sites. As these aren't actually direct tasks, but we're going to seek out rare resources. Gather uncommon resources. 1, 2, 3. That's, we're going to be looking for mycelia, coal, sulfur, quartz, curium, silica, remains, and sludge, etc., etc. Good. Alright. Those will be our goals for next time. But meantime, I'm going to be cutting it here. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you very much for watching.